Hello everyone and welcome back to Your Year of Tarot. We are on lesson 15 now and we are looking at the royal house of our fire element, the Court of Wands. So grab your deck, get comfy, get cozy and let's read some cards. Hello everyone, Editing Shannon here. Partway through this video my microphone died, so I've gone to the decision to just not use the microphone at all, to save it changing levels and changing noise kind of midway through and just not sounding consistent. So this one will sound slightly different to the other ones and you might have a bit more background noise, but hopefully that won't take away too much from the video. Just for my neurodivergent babes that are going to go, this sounds different, that is why. So yeah, it should be fine, just it's going to sound a little different. Anyway, bye. I have new glasses so I can actually see properly now. This can make everything so much easier. When we first meet our Court of Wands, the thing that stands out most to me is the barrenness of the background. It's all clear, plain skies and just desert. It's not like the other suits where there are castles or vines or luscious gardens. The backgrounds of these cards are barren. That emphasises the nature of the fire element as a very internal element. It talks more about our inner fire, our inner drive, everything that keeps us going and pushes us forward. It's less about the outside world, the exterior plane of existence. It is the interior planes that we are looking at with the fire element, and especially the fire court. So what about the element itself? The wands are our fire element, and they govern creativity, willpower, action, drive, and creative inspiration. We're going to use the same method as we have done for all the cards so far. Nothing is changing here. Main elements, nuance, questions, to use that to garner the meaning. When we're looking at court cards, we're doing rank plus suit equals the meaning, plus you can add in your own intuition and interpretation from the cards themselves. You can read the court cards as a person, as a series of traits, as an archetype. There are many ways that you can read the court cards. Head back to the introduction to the court cards if you need a bit of a refresher on that. And with each of the court, I show you the same court from another deck. I'm very excited to show you today's deck, so make sure you stick around for that one. But with 15 lessons behind us, you know exactly what you're doing, so let's get straight into it with the cards. Starting with our Page of Wands. So our element is fire. Energy, action, drive, willpower, creative inspiration, and our rank is Page. Inexperienced, naive, but young, energetic and hopeful in a way all new beginners are. They're learning about the world and themselves. This card hasn't got a lot of elements happening, but let's break it down. Let's start with the main elements of this card. We have the page who is holding a wand. He's in decorative robes, has a cloak, lots of yellows and reds. There's lizard motif all over his robes, and it's a desert. Sandy background. What can we garner from this? Let's look at the nuance of the card. The page here is wearing lots of yellows and red, all fiery colours, representing of the fire element. He's holding the staff firmly with two hands, and what's important is because of the colour of the staff and the colour of the background, you can't tell if he's holding it off the ground or if it's reaching to the ground. And that's an important distinction, because if he's holding it off the ground, it's mid-action. If he's holding it onto the ground, it's still and contemplative. So that changes the meaning of the card slightly depending on the context of the reading. The desert background tells us that the work isn't outside of us, it is internal. The sand dunes in the background can symbolise a couple things. It's very common to see them as hurdles of your own making, but also a symbol of impermanence, as the sand will move, with the wind. The sand will move with the smallest amount of movement. The idea of the sand dune in this card is that we've made the block. We have made whatever is stopping us, whatever is hindering us. But all we need is the smallest action to change it. It's the spark, which is everything that this card is about. On his robes we have the lizard motif, which is the first time in this card that we see it, but you will see it a lot. The lizard motif has many meanings: shedding, self-reflection, potential energy, but also that almost recharging so that you can begin again. Think of that image of the lizard just basking in the sun on a rock, just recharging with the sun. They are already creatures of the sun and very associated with the sun in a lot of different mythologies and folklore, but the lizard sheds its skin to become something new, to be able to grow. It can be that standing still, but you're not passively standing still, you're recharging. You're getting ready to pounce, you're getting ready to leap, you're getting ready to move. It's not a stillness, it's not a pause in the same way as we've seen in other cards. It's a lying in wait. This card overall is that creative spark. It's the idea of the beginning of an action, the beginning of a new passion, the beginning of a new drive. So if you remember the Page of Swords is that birthing new ideas. It's very in the head. When it's fire, it's that new passion, that drive, that feeling. This could talk about the passion of a new relationship. This could talk about the joy in a new career. This could talk about the ambition you have towards a project. But it's the creative spark, and the spark is potential to become something large and out of control, or the potential to be tamed, tempered, and used. What questions come up with this card? Well, firstly, where do I want to go? If this is a spark, this is potential energy, this is energy that could be sent anywhere, what's the path? What is the one path that we are running headfirst down? Where are we using the fire to propel us? What excites you right now? What is the passion? What is the drive? What is behind you? What is the thing making you want to get up in the morning and go? Can you be spontaneous? Can you take a risk? Is that something that you regularly stop yourself from doing? Upright, this is possibility. This is energetic. This is the spark of new desire, new passion, new love. It's a card of possibility, and while that possibility does require some kind of thinking about it, it's also a card of action, and it's primarily a card of action. This is saying that while you have this fleeting small spark, do something with it. This isn't a time to be contemplating all the possible things you could do with it, because you risk snuffing out that tiniest little light. Whereas with that spark, you can just keep going with it, but you need to start. When we reverse this card, I immediately get this sense of indecision. I really get the feeling that he's contemplating the stuff, contemplating the action that he should take. There's a lot of shoulds when this card is reversed. Should do this and I should do that, leading to delays, leading into putting out your own spark, leading to indecisiveness. When this is reversed, this is the delay, and this is that energy that has fizzled out. This was a chance that maybe has now passed. Now it's time to move on and do something else from it. Or you're delaying making possibly quite a difficult decision, because that's going to throw you into an action that you're not sure about. Let's move on to our Knight of Wands. So our Knight of Wands, fire element, willpower, action, energy, creative drive, and ambition. The rank is Knight. Action orientated, emotional, high energy. They know enough to get started, but lack the wisdom of experience and can get themselves into trouble. Think charging ahead. The Knight of Wands to me is the most knight of any of the knights of any of the court cards. It's the most typical, chivalrous, charismatic, that still image of a knight largely like this, but about to charge into battle. It's before the battle has started, but he's left that starting line where everyone is lined up waiting for their orders. He is marching on. The typical questing knight. Let's look at the main elements in this card. So, first of all, we have the red horse rearing up on his back legs. We have the knight pulling on the bridle. He's got a full suit of armour, he's got feathers, so slightly more ceremonial. He's holding the wand upright, and again, that desert background. There's more to unpick here than with the page, so let's have a look at the nuance of this card. So let's start with the horse rearing up on his hind legs, with the knight holding the bridle. So as we've seen throughout the knights of the previous suits, is that the horse, depending on the way that it's kind of standing or stationed, means different things. The knight rearing up on his hind legs with the bridle being held is kind of a restrained power. So it takes a lot of energy for the horse to rear itself up on its hind legs. It's not an easy task, it's not a passive task, it's a very active thing for them to do. But as he pulls on the bridle, he's directing it, he's directing the energy and pulling the head back down. The knight is still holding the reins. He's still in control of the fire, still in control of the action and the energy. He's restraining the power. Now, this is normally for a particular reason, ready to have that outburst of energy somewhere else in a different direction. The sand dunes are on the opposite side to the Page of Wands. So those inner hurdles, the ones of our own making, we have overcome them. We are moving over them, we are moving through them. With the Knight of Wands, only half of the staff is visible. So we don't know if this is actually a half staff or if this is a full staff behind the rest of the horse's body. But we can only see half of it. And he's only holding it with one hand. The actual object of the fire, which the staff represents, isn't the main thing for him right now. It's that outburst of energy. It also asks us to question, is this all we can see of our goal? If the wand is the goal itself, are we only able to see a bit of it, half of it? We're not seeing the full picture before diving straight in. The red horse also has negative biblical connotations. In the book of Revelations, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse rides in on a red horse, and he symbolizes war and bloodshed and violence. The actual passage from Revelation 6:3-4 is, "And when the Lamb opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, 'Come.' Then another horse went forth. It was bright red, and its rider was granted permission to take peace from the earth, so that men would slay one another, and he was given a great sword." Remember that Arthur Edward Waite of A.E. Waite of Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot was brought up as a devout Catholic. This wasn't a misstep. This wasn't a mistake or a coincidence. The Knight of Wands tells us that confidence is an ally. It's a friend to us. We can be charismatic and extroverted and charming even if we don't lean that way naturally. We can, kind of like the horse rearing up on the hind legs before it charges, we can almost perform it. It lets us know that we can take risks. We can start that charge ahead, even if that, in whatever way that means to you. It could be charging ahead with a new job, a new relationship. It could be charging ahead and taking a chance and being spontaneous in something where you're not normally spontaneous. And once again, we've got our lizard motif. So we've got shedding, the self-reflection, the potential energy, and that basking and recharging in the sun. So what questions come from this card? Is now the time for bold action? Is it the time to be charging ahead? And are you ready for what that means if you do? Where are your energy levels right now? And what is sustainable energy levels to you? Do you have enough of yourself to give in order to go forward? Do you have enough of yourself to stay grounded while you're charging ahead? Really assess where you are and how much you have to give to everything in your life. What are you willing to take a chance on? Is now the time to be doing something brave and bold and scary and making change? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for what you'll gain from that? And are you ready for what you will lose from that? The upright meaning is bravery, pursuit, action. We're going for our goal. We are past the spark, we are a flame, and we can direct it and we can use it and we can charge forward. But when we reverse this card, that red horse, that symbol of violence and war and bloodshed, is now way more prominent in the centre of the card. Reversed, this is forceful, this is violent, this is arrogant, this is impulsive, this is burnout, this is burning too hot, too quickly. We've passed that spark, we have that flame, but we put way too much in it and we burnt ourselves out, we burnt the energy out, we don't have enough to give, or we're so desperately trying to keep that flame alive that we're throwing everything we have. We have burned too hot too quickly and we are now burnt out. Let's move on to our Queen of Wands. Fire element, willpower, action, energy, creative drive, and ambition. The Queen, more emotional, spiritual, and grounded. They have wisdom from a deep inner knowing and an intuition behind them. Creative, they're nurturing of themselves and the others. This has slightly more happening than our previous cards. So let's look at the main elements. We have the yellow robe, we have a lion motif for the first time in this suit. We've got sunflowers. She is holding a long wand. There's a black cat in the front and she is wearing a crown with leaves. So let's break this down. Let's look at the nuance of the card. Let's start with the lion motif, as this is the first time we see it in this court. The motif of the lion represents leadership, dominance, authority, and sovereignty over yourself. The crown also represents sovereignty, so it's saying that you are in control of yourself, of your energy, of your fire. You are in control of your inner fire. Yellow is a colour that represents air throughout the tarot, but it also represents spirituality and sacred knowledge in a lot of cultures. The Queen wears a lot of bright, solid yellow, and she is the first character we see in this suit that doesn't have any markings, any motifs on her clothes themselves. That is what's significant about her wearing yellow compared to the other ones. It's a bold block colour. It's spiritual, it's being able to hold the sacred knowledge. In psychology, yellow is thought to aid clear decision making, and as a ruler, being able to rule from that place of clarity, of being able to make decisions, but also holding on to the spiritual and the sacred and being able to lead from that perspective. We have some sunflowers on the throne at the back and she's holding a sunflower. Sunflowers represent the sun, are easily a representation of fire, but they're also joy, resilience, and in a number of cultures, they are spirituality and faith. As the sunflower itself literally turns to follow the sun, and in a lot of early religions, they were sun worshippers. The sun was their god, their source of life, that fire that burned hottest in the sky, and the sunflowers followed it round, so it became a source of that deep faith. And for you, faith can be anything. This card is saying that it can be faith in your own inner fire. It can be faith in yourself, in your ability to control your own fire. But it can also be actual faith. If you follow a faith or a religion or a spirituality, the Queen of Wands is a really lovely card indicating the strength you have in your faith. She sits on her throne very comfortably with the wand on the ground and into the air above her head, so that is heaven and earth connected. And as she sits, she's got the wand in one hand and the sunflower in the other. So we can see that she has the fire in one hand and she's got the faith in the other. The faith in herself, the faith to direct it. And right down in the bottom we got a little black cat. So black cats have a wide range of folklore, everything from divine protection and good luck to witchcraft and bad luck, depending on your culture, time period that you're looking at, anything like that. The black cat's meaning will change depending on the context of the reading that we're in, but I really like the representation of the black cat in Jungian psychology, particularly in dream analysis, where the black cat tends to symbolise a hidden unconscious, an unconscious thought, an unconscious world. It's the inner workings, the inner knowing, and that hidden world that while we're showing all of these sunny colours and this strength and this brightness and this spiritual faith and resilience to the world, that there is still an inner world that is just ours. And we are the only ones that actually know what's in there. We don't show all of ourselves all the time, even when we're trying to be authentic. We still have some things that are just ours, and they should be just ours. What questions come up from this card? This is a very joyful card, and it asks us, how can you live each day to the fullest? How can you embrace your own spiritual side? How can you embrace that inner fire? How can you express yourself more authentically, and do you feel grounded in that authenticity? When do you feel most charismatic, most magnetic? When do you feel people flocking to you, to hear you, to see you, to know what you have to say? When is that point where you're so embodied in this confidence? And if you've ever felt it, ask yourself when that was. What were you doing? And if you struggle to feel that, ask yourself why. Upright, the Queen of Wands is knowing yourself. Passionate, warm, charismatic, but largely this card is a card of fertility. Fertility in tarot, if you're looking at the old traditional sense, would mean fertility of the womb. But what we're looking at is fertility of the land, not the traditional sense, not the having children. We are looking at fertility in having a place where the seeds are ready to be sown, where things can grow, a place that is nurtured and looked after, a place where things can prosper. When we think fertility, we're thinking fertile land, the fertile plains. I find the best way to picture fertility in the sense of this card is a field where the seeds have been sown, they're started to sprout, and this bright, beautiful sunny day is just beaming down, and all of those tiny saplings are starting to look towards the sun. That is how we picture fertility for this card, that image of growth, of peace, of prosperity. Reversed, immediately the black cat feels a little more ominous, and our eyes are drawn immediately to the middle of the card, just this big slab of yellow. And if yellow is also clarity and decision making, it means that our vision has been clouded a little bit. Reverse, this is selfish, jealousy, a knocked confidence, bullying, infertility, in the sense of something is stopping you from growing. You are not the fertile land, but what has caused that? Is it selfish action? Is it jealous thought? Is it a knocked confidence, whether through something you've done or through something someone has said? Is it bullying? Have you been a bully? Has someone else bullied you? When it's reversed, the fertility is tipped on its head. Something is stopping us from being able to grow. Something is stopping us from being able to prosper. But again, it's fire card, and we've still got the barren background everywhere. It's internal, it's not external, it's not necessarily someone stopping us. Someone could have said the mean thing that knocked you down, but you were the one that keeps replaying it. You were the one that is holding on to that idea and not letting it go. Finally, let's look at our King of Wands. The fire element, willpower, action, energy, creative drive, and ambition. The rank is the king, the solid, capable, and in control leader. They have an experience behind them and a solid foundation for their emotions and sense of self. They're stable, they can protect and direct their suit. So let's start breaking down what are the main elements in this card. So we've got the lion motif on the back of the throne. So that's continued through. The lizard motif, again, is here. We also have a black lizard on the ground. He's wearing red robes, again, that solid colour. And he sits still, serene, looking at the wand, which is again held with one hand. So what does this mean? What's the nuance in this card? So let's do the motif that we've already seen throughout this suit. We've got the lion. So the motif of the lion represents leadership and dominance, authority, sovereignty over yourself. The lizard motif has many meanings. So we've got that shedding, the self-reflection, potential energy, and that basking in the sun, that waiting to pounce, that recharging. The red that he's wearing Red is a colour of opposing extremes. So you've got passion and love on one hand, but you've also got danger and a warning on the other hand. The meaning of the colour red changes culturally. In some parts of the world, red is a colour of luck and wealth and prosperity. In others, it's a symbol of danger and a warning. So that is something that's going to change depending on the culture you were raised in and the general symbology around you. Red is also that colour of fire. Opposing extremes is a really good way to describe the red on this card. It can mean so much, and it does mean so much, so it depends on the other cards in the reading. And it can just be the strongest representation of fire within the cards so far. It's the deepest and darkest of all of the reds that we've seen. He's also holding the wand in front of him. You can see that it's sitting between his feet, which means that he's holding it directly in front of him. So he can see both the wand, which is the goal, but he can see the background and everything around him as well. This is holding on to multiple perspectives at once, holding on to the perspective of your goal, but holding on to the realities happening around you. When he's seeing both, he's no longer seeing just the internal world, but he's seeing the internal world mirrored with the external world as well. He's surveying the entire area around him. Questions that arise from this card. So what does being in charge mean to you? What does it mean for you to be in charge, and how do you feel when you're in charge of something? Is it something that you regularly shy away from, or is it something that you run to? What do you believe makes good leadership in yourself, in others? Think of examples of good leadership and of bad leadership. How do your insecurities manifest? Fire isn't just action and drive. Remember, it's also our willpower. And these are the things that our insecurities will largely tamper with. So how do your insecurities manifest? How does it dampen the fire? Upright, this card is decisive. He's a visionary, again, surveying all the land. He's making decisive and quick action, but it's bold action. It's certain action. And whether it works or not, that boldness is an action that he stands behind. An action made with all the information he had at the time. The action that he felt was right. When we reverse this card, that red in the middle stands out immediately and boldly. Just as the Knight of Wands, when it was reversed, became more violent. This is that fire now out of control. The King of the Wands, as the head of the fire element, he needs to stay in control of himself and in control of his element. This is an out of control wildfire. Reversed, it's ego, tyranny, weak leadership, and exerting control. Tyranny and exerting control and desperately trying to hold on to the fire are their examples of weak leadership. It's holding on too tight. It's not letting anyone do anything else because you are the only person that knows the right way. Again, ego. It's not the king and his council, it is the king above all. The wildfire hurts everyone. It hurts yourself, it hurts everyone around you. And when we are really in that ego, when we're really battling that wildfire, we need to look at different ways to dampen it down. How can we step back and let others take over? How can we let go of the reins, let go of control? How can we let people fight the wildfire? And if we've created it, that's okay, but it's also our job to stop it. So, like I said, I'm going to show you the court from a different deck. So, you may not have seen this deck before. This is Tarot of the New Vision. This is one of the Low Scarabeo decks. I have a few Low Scarabeo decks. I do really like them. But what it's done is it has flipped the perspective of every card. Also, this is a travel deck, which is why it's tiny. So this is the normal deck size. This is a travel deck size. I don't know if they do this in a big deck, but I've only got the travel deck version. So I'm going to show you each card next to its Rider-Waite-Smith counterpart. We can learn a lot more from each card when we're looking at it from another perspective. So here's our Page of Wands here, and our alternate perspective. So this time it is behind him. And in the background of this card, we can see it's not just sandy fields, there are green hills out in the distance. This one has a figure in the background carrying a torch. We don't know who this figure is to him, but this figure is literally carrying the fire while he still contemplates the fire. While he contemplates how to make the spark, this figure already has. Does he follow her? Does he find his own path? Let's have a look at our Knight of Wands. So again, perspective is flipped. We are now looking at the other side of the Knight of Wands. And this knight isn't looking at an empty field, he's looking at a caravan. In our Rider-Waite-Smith card, we can't see what he's looking at, but it looks like he's charging into battle from this snapshot that we have. And then when we look at the Knight of Wands from the Tarot of the New Vision, it seems more that he was startled by this caravan of people. But there's still an underlying tone of violence, which is the warning of the knight. Is he going to accept and welcome these new people? Is he going to act out of fear? Is he still going to charge ahead? Does that mean charging ahead past, through, or stopping these people? Let's move on to our Queen of Wands. This one takes the perspective from the back of the throne, which I really love. So behind the throne on the New Vision Queen of Wands is the carving of the Queen as she sits at the front. So we still see the meaning of the card. It's that protection and that nurturing. Behind her looks like are two figures. One of them still looks like royalty. She's got a little basket of fruit with her, and then there is a young girl. And what's important is that this young girl is holding a hand scythe and is wearing really simple clothes. This girl looks like a farmer or someone that possibly would work in the household of these royal people, but she is being talked to and looked after tenderly by this woman of status. It's emphasizing that the Queen is that nurturing force and that protecting force. Protecting and guiding her subjects. There's a gentleness to the way that she rules. And if we go to the King of Wands, whereas we can only see sand in the King of Wands here, the King of Wands of the New Vision, maybe there's sand behind him. We are now behind him, we don't know, but he is looking out upon this lush, verdant field. The Queen of Wands is that fertility, as in new growth, fertile earth, a place where things can prosper. With the King, it has prospered, it has grown, it is abundant. And he is once again being able to survey everything. We've got the lion motif on the back of the throne, but the lion is sleeping by the looks of it. It's that image of lions kind of in those documentaries where they're spending like 14 hours a day asleep and they hunt for 1 hour and they're just out in the sun having a nap. It's kind of like that image. And above it on the throne is a couple, and it looks like a couple in love. It's saying that the king didn't get here alone and that no one rules alone. It's emphasizing that power needs to be shared and that with family, chosen or otherwise, that is how he rules effectively. So that was a lot. Let us summarize. The Page of Wands upright is possibility. Reversed is delays. The Knight of Wands upright is bravery. Reversed is forceful. Queen of Wands upright is fertility, and the reversed is infertility. The King of Wands upright is visionary, and the reversed is egotistical. Homework, carrying on like we have done with the other court cards, is to figure out which fire card you embody the most. And I like to do this through journal prompts, but you can always just sit with, pull and meditate on the cards to find which meaning you relate to the strongest. Where do you sit within the fire suit? Where do the fires within yourself manifest? The journal prompts for this week are: where does my desire of control stem from? We all have a desire to control to an extent, and understanding where it comes from means that we can temper it or use it most effectively. How do I feel about leadership roles? And what have others told me about my leadership skills? If anyone has told you about them, and if they haven't, that's something to look at. What creative spark am I currently trying to nurture, and what are the biggest risks to it? Are you someone that when you have that creative spark adds so much fuel to the fire that you burn out quickly? Or are you at risk of putting it out with self-doubt, with imposter syndrome, with not taking risks? How do you nurture a spark, and how have you lost a spark? That is all for this week. Next week we will be meeting the royal house of our water element, the Court of Cups. So I hope you have a lovely rest of your week wherever you are, and I will see you next lesson where we meet our Court of Cups. Bye guys. What is happening? It's really... Okay, I think we're there. They hurt. No! Fuck off.